Howdy, everybody. Um, so I just woke up and it's about 2:09 in the morning. I meant to go live actually, I don't know, way earlier than this, but I overslept. So I'm going live now. And what am I doing? It's a nice night and one of the few times that the telescope is not being that it's working and isn't being used. So I figured, why not use it? Howdy, Judy. So this is going to be a very informal experience. So let's just see what happens. Yeah. All right. Actually, this is going to be a little hard to do because I'm at home and I only have my one screen. So, oh yeah, that was Luna. Oh no, sorry, that was Sunny. Luna's upstairs sleeping. So this is going to be kind of difficult to do because I only have the one monitor, and so I think I can only see I can see the VNC, or I can see the chat. I know. Hold on a second. All right. Let's see here. Does this computer have any juice? No. But I can fix that. Oh. Okay, apparently I can't fix that because I don't have my power cable for that computer. So, not to worry. Hmm. Nope. Is that one I want to see? Ah, there I am. Nope. Is that one I want to see? Ah, there I am. All right, let's do this. Ah, I now have it open on the tubes so I can see the chat from the tubes. So, yeah, let us do. Actually, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. All right, let's see if that pops up. Hey, that popped up. All right, so, so I'm just right in the middle of starting up, and what we're seeing here is ye old telescope. No, go away. Here is ye old telescope. This is our dome. This is basically the right ascension motor of our telescope. We have that camera because of just maintenance. And then this is ye old control room. So right now I've got the dome open and I am just getting kind of started. So let's see here. What am I doing next? I'm going to home the dome. So the dome knows what it's the dome knows where it's pointed. So if you look over here, dome should. Oh, the dome is at home. Oh, that's right, because they didn't park it. I'll have to talk to those kids. Our friends of the observatory, they were using this telescope earlier tonight. I meant to live stream them actually, but like I said, I overslept. So, but they had used the telescope, and apparently they did not put the telescope or the dome back in park. But really, that's a minor thing. So really, I'm just quibbling. So, keep saying so for some reason. Now, what could we look at? Yes, Sonny? No, I don't have anything for you. Oh, all right. Okay, well, this is going to be a little irritating or a little interesting. All right. Display. Non-stellar objects. This says they're. How can I turn them on? Okay. Tools. Nope. We recently had to reconfigure things, and so one of the things that has not been returned back to normal is the night sky. Let's see. Oops, that's scrolling out. The program I'm using right now is called The Sky. It is basically a professional planetarium program that also, the Sky Professional, can also connect to a telescope and control it, along with, the camera and other devices. Actually, speaking of which, let us bring that camera control up. Okay, where'd it go? Aha, it's over here. Come here. And we're going to connect the telescope, the focuser, the dome, and more importantly, we're going to also connect the camera. Dun, dun, dun. And we're going to put the cooler at, I think it's kind of cold out, so minus 25 degrees centigrade. And we're going to hit the cooler on, and it's going to start cooling. The reason why we do this, the reason why we have the camera at as cool as we can get, is because cameras are dumb, and so a camera doesn't know where the photons are coming from either. So, and the photons can come from the sky or the camera itself. So we want to be able to keep the camera as cold as possible, so we're minimizing the amount of photons that are coming off the camera and being detected by the sensor. We refer to that type of emission, contamination, not the right word. Signal. Aha! We refer to the signal that's coming strictly off the camera as dark current. What camera am I using? We are using an S-Big camera, and let's see, what is it called? S-Big MTX, MTX 16 something or other. I keep forgetting this stuff. Let me look it up. S-Big MT. No. S-Big cameras. It's a 4K by 4K chip. It's an older model, so I'm looking currently on the SBIG webpage. I've forgotten the exact serial number. I apologize. I could put that on there somewhere else, but essentially, oh, looks like the elevator lobby light is on. Oh, wow, really? Jonathan, that is this is in the chat. That's Jonathan Saldana. He is the president of our friends at the observatory, and what he's telling me is that there is a light on in. Yep, there it is. All right, right there. There's a light in the elevator. I don't really think that's going to affect much because, like I said before, this is fairly casual. I'm just basically playing with the telescope and seeing what I can see. So, but normally that's not ideal. Anyway, Judy, the camera is a backlit. Is a backlit sensor, meaning that its quantum efficiency or its ability to detect photons is better than the frontlit. What that really means is that the chip has essentially the chip has a substrate which gets activated, which gets activated by the photoelectric effect. It frees electrons, and then there is gadgets on top of that chip that basically collect those electrons as counts and allow us to read it out. If you observe frontlit, where the light comes through the gadgets and then hits the chip, that degrades the quantum efficiency. You lose some of the light. But if you orient it such that it's backlit, so that actually the light comes in and hits the substrate from behind, and then pushes the electrons into the gadget's technical term behind that, that's what we call backlit, and the quantum efficiency is much higher. And so our throughput for our camera is in the green part of the spectrum, is roughly around 75% all total, meaning that we for every 100 photons that hits the telescope, or hits the that enter the telescope, 75 of them actually get detected as counts. And so that encompasses pretty much everything. That encompasses the quantum efficiency of the detectability of the chip. It also accounts for any light that is lost from being reflected a couple of times. And it also, and more importantly, it accounts for the light which is being blocked out by the filters. So, now, all right. Okay. Oh, they just installed, I saw, the Stellarium, so I can use that. Oh, apparently I can't show it on the desktop, or can I? This is a Stellarium program, really useful kind of program that allows you to view the night sky as it is. I think I've featured this program on my channel before. Oh wow, there is there is rather a dearth of objects at the moment that are easy peasy to look at. Let's see if I zoom in. Oh, the giant star cluster in Hercules. Sweet. I always like looking at M15. M13, sorry. I always get that confused. So let's look at M13. This is kind of a pain to navigate on my computer at home. So in the future, I will do this in the office. But I felt lazy. Like I said, I just woke up. So what I do here, the amazing the very complicated way that I'm going to be moving the telescope is I'm going to tell it I want to go to Messier 13. I'll find it. And of course, it's probably going to not like that. All right, how about M13? Like that. Ah, yay! It like that. So it's fairly low on the horizon, but we can still do it. Yes, correct. 2:24 a.m. for me. So we've got maybe 3 hours of daylight or nighttime. Oh, there goes the telescope. Oh, I forgot. I need to sync the telescope. Yeah. Let's bring you. I need to sync it. So now our R2D2 looking dome is now going to move the slit into alignment with the telescope itself. Jonathan, if you're still there, how did the astrophotography go this evening with photo? Well, really, how did the photo night go? Oh, somebody else joined. Hopefully they're not trying to take control of my telescope. You weren't there. You're the president. Why weren't you there? I know, you probably had something more pressing to do. I'm just giving a hard time. Okay, so it's theoretically there. Let's see if it actually is there. If I had been doing my job before. So we're going to go to the Expose tab. I'm going to do Visible, which is green. I think it was just Aiden. What? Oh my God. Beautiful night like this. Well, now I know exactly who to blame for that elevator. Let's see. 3 seconds. No, that's not going to be good enough. Let's try 10. So this is the green part of the spectrum. I'm going to expose the camera for 10 seconds, meaning that I open up the shutter for 10 seconds, allow photons to stream in, hit that substrate, knock off those electrons, and have those collected by that gadget that's on top of it. And then it's going to read out, which for whatever reason this computer takes for, oh, actually that took no time at all. Ba-boom, there it is. Okay, so I need to do a recalibration on our pointing. Pointing isn't great, but that's okay. All right, this is going to be fun. Trying to do this on my monitor. All right, let's see. All right. Jog. So now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to center it up. Dev is faster. Well, actually, no. That with our previous experience with the pointing model we were doing, no. Actually, it was significantly slower. It took forever for things. Well, not forever. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but it took a very long time. It seemed to actually download the images. But what I'm doing now is I am going to try to center this up a bit because the M13 is a little bit larger than what you can see in this exposure. So there again, saying so again. Because of the way the optics are oriented, It's not completely straightforward. Thankfully, the camera is actually aligned north south or roughly north south east west. So the directions are pretty much orthogonal. But so I think if I hit right, it's going to go right. But if I hit up, it's actually going to go down. Hey, Dan. Howdy, Dan. The target is M13, the Great Cluster in Hercules. Hercules. One of my favoriteest objects. What was that? Was I not done with the slew? What is going on there? Let's try that again. That, folks, are star trails. That is due to, typically, exposing when the telescope is still in motion. Oh, there it is. All right, sweet. All right, let's go up or down. Okay, let's do this again. So you might be asking yourself, Professor Parks, what is this object? What is the Great Cluster of Hercules in specific? Well, that is a good question. Dun, dun, dun. Last week tonight. Yeah, I'll watch you later. The Great Cluster in Hercules is what astronomers refer to as a globular cluster. A globular cluster is a collection of typically hundreds of thousands of stars. This one might actually be approaching 1 million in terms of its numbers, number of stars that are in the population. But generally speaking, globular clusters are structures of hundreds of thousands of stars that are gravitationally bound to each other. So they're traveling through space as a unit. And that's one of my cats going to the bathroom. So sorry about that. 100,000 stars, that's a lot of mass. And so they get the globular structure, or they get the globular name because of the fact that they look, hopefully you can see, like globs. The mass is significant enough that it forces the stars to assume a spherical or roughly spherical configuration that is centrally condensed. So hopefully you can see that. That's perfect. Hopefully you can see in this image, there is in the center, that's really bright. That's because the stars are more tightly packed than when you go out to the edges. Again, because gravity is distance related, the gravitational effect is much larger in the center of the globular cluster than it is out in the edges. So you have what we call a centrally condensed object, or the density increases as you go towards the center of the object. So I think that's all set up. I should say that globular clusters are some of the oldest structures in the galaxy. It is currently believed that these are the first, well, I should say the oldest, really. These are the first cohesive structures in the galaxy. These formed first, and the galaxy formed under it. They are in a spherical distribution around the galactic center. So, and there are hundreds of them, possibly even thousands of them, or possibly even more. I actually don't know how many globular clusters there are in a typical galaxy. I know that there are a lot of them. Yeah, they are. For the Milky Way galaxy, you're talking about globular clusters that are anywhere between 10 to 13 billion years old. Hello, Luna. Yeah, say hello to our friends out in internet land. Yeah, I know. You don't like this at all. Love. Go. Yeah, Hercules globular cluster. I don't know the distances and such like that, but it is pretty far out because globular clusters tend to be on the outskirts of the galaxy. All right, anyway, let's get to imaging. Let's see if we can make some pretty pictures. All right, I'm looking at this, and the thing that I'm noticing, is that the center of this thing looks a little blown out. But actually, if I look at my counts, so I have this information window up here. If you look, I don't know if you can see it very well, but if you see maximum in that information window in the upper left, right now it's telling me that where my cursor is, I'm getting about 10,000 counts. So the chip is each individual pixel that collects these counts or these electrons can hold up to 65,565 counts. So that is what we call saturation. It can't hold any more than that. If you expose longer and you bring in more light, you're just wasting it. It's not going to get registered, so it's just going to saturate. So that means, this tells me that I'm not close to saturation, which means that this view that seems to be basically blown out or just completely white is not due to the fact that I have so many counts, but is due to the fact that the program only has 255 channels from which to display blackest black to whitest white. So I can change that. I can change how that scales using this little doohickey over here. So let's see. If I do that, there you go. See, I changed the scale. You can now see that there are a lot of little stars in that mix. I can even zoom in on them. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. You go away. I can zoom in on them like that, so you can get another feel of just how dense this cluster is, given everything else. What you're probably also seeing is that the stars actually look a little comet-like, and that I believe is due to poor collimation of our telescope. Our telescope, she has been through quite a lot recently. She's been kind of banged up, moved around a lot, and so I think the collimation might be a bit off, so which is something we're going to have to deal with. But I think I can try to adjust this somewhat using focus. So part of this may be that it's slightly out of focus. So I am going to go to focus. And focus is quite important. If you don't have proper focus, then you might be under the impression that that planets and stars actually look the same. They do not. All right, 5. Let's move out. Doing this, I'm judging that Aiden actually found this to be the best focus. So we'll see what happens. Focusing on this object is not the best idea in terms of if you want to do this quickly, because as you can see, every exposure really is 10 seconds. Normally what you would want to do is you'd want to focus on a really bright object. I really like looking at a different type of cluster called an open cluster, which is a lot more diffuse. It has fewer members, but the members are very bright, typically are very bright. And so I use that typically as a good way to get focus. And I don't know if that did anything. Let's move out again. If you have any questions, if folks in the chat have any questions about globular clusters or what I'm doing or sort of imaging tips, please let me know. I am pretty well versed on imaging techniques. What I'm not really well versed on is astrophotography itself, actually combining images to create these nice, beautiful 3-color images. I am not very good at it. I don't have the knack and I don't have the time to really get good at it. So, but our students, they are learning, they are putting the time in, and they are, I think a few of our students, I know Owen, who has graduated, he certainly was better at it than I am. And which is awesome because I basically saw him go from first attempts to what he does now. And yeah, he blew me away pretty quickly. Aiden, who was using the telescope before, he's also very adept at this. I think this looks better. I think this looks better because the stars are more globby, which actually is kind of the reverse of really what you want. But it takes away the comedy effect or comet-like effect. To get into the weeds a little bit as to looking at the image quality and seeing whether or not something is good and in focus, we look at something called the full width half max. If you look down here, what we're seeing here is a 3D profile of a star. And you can imagine, and a star can be approximated by a Gaussian shape. So it's basically a bell curve in 3 dimensions. The width of that bell curve, which we refer to as the full width at half maximum, or FWHM, which you can see over here, that is like I said, the characteristic size. Stars are at this distance are point-like. If you could get rid of physics and just look at these stars, they should only take up 1 pixel. But since physics is a thing, you have things called diffraction and atmospheric blurring. So what we want the focus to be tight enough to get that full width half maximum as small as possible. Really what we would like, and this is in arc seconds. So this star right here is being blurred out, so its size on the chip or on the sky is roughly 4.4 arc seconds in extent. Good seeing is 1 arc second. Exceptional seeing is sub arc second, which really you could only, personally, I think you could only get that if you were using adaptive optics, which is way more advanced than what we've got here. A full width half max of 4 is not great, but it's what I got, so that's what I'm working with. And I think I can work with this in post. I think what I can do is I can do some maximum entropy techniques, or maybe even I can play with wavelets. Who am I kidding? I don't have the time to play with wavelets, but theoretically I can play with wavelets and actually get this tightened up, increase the resolution, as it were. Something else to consider is that this star or this cluster we are kind of pointing through a fairly significant amount of atmosphere. We're not looking straight up. So as the night improves, assuming I stop talking and actually do stuff, as the night improves, this image quality should also improve, because the less atmosphere we're looking through, the less atmospheric blurring there is, and so hopefully these stars will tighten up. So yeah, there's that. Now I have to. So all right. Do I have a pencil, paper, anything around here? God, I really need to clean this place up. All right. 10 seconds. So now what I'm going to try to do is I am going to try a technique called track and stack. What I want to be able to do is keep the integrity of these central stars so that I can see them as individual stars and not just as a big glom of stars like that, like, that or less. And so that would happen if I saturate the image, then I'm going to lose the integrity of those individual inner stars. I don't want that. I want to be able to see those stars, but I also want to be able to see the background stars. And so you can kind of see that if I do the negative. You can see here that all these little fuzzy dots, those are all stars in the globular cluster. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to try to bring those out as much as possible. So kind of try to do a happy medium between the two. So let's keep saying so. Luna, are you just cracked? Did you get into the crack? I don't have catnip around. What are you doing? Oh, playing with your sister. Sonny, are you being mean? Are you being mean to Luna? Don't be mean to Luna. Yeah. You don't like being mean to Luna. All right. So anyway, one of the joys of being at home, observing from home, is I have cats. There we go. Getting back to that. All right. So actually, I want to lower this a bit. Oh, nope. Wrong way. I want to raise this a bit so I can see those lovely, lovely stars and suns here. Although I really don't need to because I actually have a tool that allows me to look at it. But I'm getting around 26,000. So what that tells me is the CCD camera at this range should be linear, meaning that if I'm getting counts of 20,000 at 10 seconds, if I go to 20 seconds, I should get 40,000 counts. So let's try that. Let me go up to 20 seconds on this. So then I had a fairly pleasant conversation with Austin today. We're talking about, I don't know how much you caught, but we're talking about reproducing, I guess, that FE core experiment, basically doing a laser sight across a frozen lake, or that's what Austin wants to do, is a laser test across a frozen lake to see whether or not the Earth is flat. And I told him that that would be a great collaboration between the flat earthers and the globe earthers, so that we could have input to let him know exactly what he should be measuring, and what tolerances he needs to use, that sort of thing. And are you going to prove me wrong? I think this is going to prove me wrong. So I did 20 seconds. So, all right, well, I'm going to have to check this because it seems as if my camera is not linear. Oh, there it is. 45,000 counts. Okay. 52,000 counts. So when I'm looking at it, if I don't want to saturate my stars in the center region of this thing, then I am going to have to basically stop here. 20 seconds in green is as far as I can go. The reason why it looks like that is because, again, of the scaling involved. There. Now, I've properly scaled it so you can see black sky and white stars. So, all right. V, green, is 20 seconds. All right, let's look at, and the green, or I'm going to refer to it as visible because that's basically the V filter or V band. The V band is where we are kind of most sensitive, although it's arguable that R might be a little bit more sensitive. Actually, I think it is. So let's go with 20 seconds. I think I'm going to have to reduce that for the R images, but we'll see. So in order to make these pretty pictures, I need to have, for those, I guess, artists out there, I need to have a blue image, I need to have a green image, and I have to have a red image. And those are taken through the blue filter, the V filter, and the red filter, or R filter. All right. So good. It's 40,000, 46. So yeah, all right. The throughput is basically the same. Actually, a little bit less, it seems. Um, Although this is a really kludgy sort of way to do this. Uh, but I think 20 seconds is the max. I think that's as high up as I can go if I don't want to saturate. And I think I didn't even complete the idea of track and stack. So let me go back to that. So first off, I'm going to take blue, red, and green images so that I can create a 3-color image, which theoretically could get me to 20 seconds. Is going to be long enough, but I want to show you something with this image. Blue, a blue image, a green image, and a red image is can theoretically get me to a true color image, essentially the same kind of image that you'd see if you were out there in the Enterprise looking at it. But that is very, very hard to do. That is where astrophotography becomes more art than science. Oh, is this blue? All right. Oh yeah, look at this. Oh wait, this can't be blue. This is blue. This is not blue. Let me pay more attention to this. 20 seconds. Because these counts are way too high to be blue. Because for blue, we have a throughput of about 25%. So these counts should be significantly less. Okay, I guess I'm losing my mind. Maybe I'm just looking at a really, really bright star. All right, that's free and bizarre. That's the wrong way. All right. I am surprised by that because one of the characteristics of a globular cluster is that, as I said, the globular cluster is old. And so the hotter, bluer stars have long since gone through their evolution and died off as supernovae. So the vast majority of these stars are going to be orangey or red. So the fact that I'm seeing a lot of counts in the blue makes me is a red flag for me. Basically, it indicates to me that something may in fact be wrong, but I can't. Nothing is obviously coming out to me in terms of what could be wrong. So I am just going to proceed as normal, and maybe something will pop out to me later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up basically an automated script, as it were, and I'm going to start taking images. Where is save path? Okay. Oh. Super fluid effect. Oh, maybe. Yeah, we did get it. I don't know, Maragi, if you got if you were you heard my conversation on, I think it was Tartaria. No, it was Earth Awakenings. But yeah, we talked about the super fluid effect. What is going on? I am dialed in remotely, so I think that's one of the reasons why I'm having a little bit of lag here. Oh, you were listening. Okay, that would make sense. All right, so I haven't, so it is responding. It's just not responding very quickly. Although Maxim DL doesn't appear to be responding at all. Well, poop on a stick. I wonder, can I do this? No, I do not want to do that. No, all right. Guess maybe I'm going to have to do it this way. It tells me that Maxim DL is not hung, but oh, that's right. Oh, wow. I give him a, it really helps that as an observational astronomer that I actually be observant. So, 26, what is today? 27th, good enough. So I'm going to go in here. Oops. All right. There we go. And I'm going to do Dr. Rob. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to go to autosave. I'm going to go M13. And I'm going to select, oops. Blue, visual R. I'm going to do 20-second exposures on all. And bidding is going to be 1 by 1. Yep. Oh, I've been doing 2 by 2 on this. That is going to affect things. So actually, yes, I want to discard that sequence. So binning is this idea that right now, like I said, it's a 4K by 4K chip. That's a lot of data. And so it takes a little bit for that data to get downloaded from the camera to our computer. So some folks are who don't want to wait that long. One of the techniques you can use is called binning. You can essentially say that it will look at the counts from 4 pixels in a square, and it will then sum those and say, all right, all of those pixels came from, or all those counts came from a single pixel. So you cut your 4K by 4K image becomes a 2K by 2K image. So you're basically square rooting your number of counts, so that increases the download time. But what you lose is angular resolution, because as I said, you're taking counts from 4 squares and turning into 1, so you're losing a little bit of your angular resolution in your images. So ideally, we have such a large chip, we want to take advantage of that. So I want to do 1 by 1. The problem is I just looked at my exposure times based on 2 by 2 binning rather than 1 by 1, meaning that with 2 by 2, I am because the light is being condensed into 1 pixel as opposed to 4. It is you gain signal faster. So a 20-second exposure in 2 by 2 is going to give me more counts than a 20-second in 1 by 1. So I am going to really quickly check to see just how much light I am essentially losing by doing 1 by 1. Nuts. Snackies are a vital part of any observational program. That and coffee. Yep. Oh yeah. Now my counts are down to like 3,000. My peak counts are like 11. So background. Sorry. Hey Bob. Howdy. Welcome to the George Mason Observatory. So my background counts are around 1,500. Most of the counts for these other stars are in the few thousands. My signal to noise for each of these looks to be about 60. Not great. I'd really kind of want that to be, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Signal noise is 100. I'd really like these stars to be about 100, particularly if I was doing any kind of astronomical analysis of it. Really, I'm here to do pretty pictures. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to be lazy because, the clock's ticking. I am just going to arbitrarily say, I'm just going to up my exposure times by 30. I'm basically going to use Aiden's thing. I don't want to take an H alpha. I want to do 30. So let's start off with 60. And no, I don't want to apply. I want to do M13. Apply. Okay. Start. So here we go. I'm now going to take a whole bunch of images. So it's kind of set and forget. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Take this. No, I'm going to take this. I'm going to stick it over here. Stop it. Bad computer. Stupid minimizing, maximizing nonsense. All right, cool. I'm going to stick this over here. So I'm, like I said, I am VNCing in. Basically, I'm dialing in a remote, and right now at the computer in the control room, we have a dual monitor setup, and I only have a single monitor setup here, and for some reason it's not giving me all of both monitors. I have to actually scroll from left to right to see everything. But I wanted basically, because this is just automated, I am going to at this point, I am just going to set it up so that you can see the views of the star cluster on the left, and you can see the telescope on the right. And I'm now going to sit here and just watch and monitor and see whether or not it does what I want it to do, and hopefully engage with those kind, lovely folks in the chat. Or I will just ramble on about incoherent things for the next 2 hours. Oh. So, sorry, eating. Oh, you commenting? Funny you should mention that. Probably gonna have to collimate this girl. In that, as I was mentioning earlier, we've had some technical issues with the telescope, and she's gone through. We've definitely put her through the ringer, and I think the collimation has been knocked. So we're going to have to try to collimate our telescope, which is uh, uh, it's not easy. Um, because the way this is set up, it's just it depresses me every time I think about this. We literally have to move the damn mirror by hand, and trying to move a 32-inch mirror by hand is problematic. So, yeah, collimating and doing polar alignment, yeah, not the easiest things in the universe to do. Uh, they are kind of a pain in the ass. We actually had to do something of a polar alignment. Well, one of the problems that we had because of technical issues is that the telescope essentially lost her mind, didn't know where she was pointing, and so we had to basically fix that. We were doing all manner of things to get her back up and running. One of which was trying to look at the polar alignment to see if that had been knocked, or rather if the settings that we had in the SkyX for the polar alignment were inaccurate. And then we had to do a pointing model and all that sort of stuff. Yes, yeah. For us, one of the main complication for us is that our hand paddle is broken. So we have to have in order to get her back up and running in terms of pointing and all that sort of stuff, we had to have folks in the dome communicating through voice in Discord to folks in the control room, because the control room was the only place that you could actually move the telescope. So yeah. Um, but yes, I do remember trying to polar align um, and collimate smaller scopes in the dead of night in the cold. And you're in Michigan, uh, which aren't you guys under? I guess you guys aren't under snow because you were out there, but I imagine Michigan is a bit colder than it is here. Yeah. So I did something today that I haven't done. I usually don't do and haven't done in a while. Is I had about a 5 hour conversation with folks on a Flat Earth Discord, and we were talking about doing a experiment, which I hope can actually get done and be a collaboration um, between the flat earthers and the globe earthers, so that we could all hold hands and sing "Kumbaya" and basically do a laser test to see do a proper laser test to see whether or not the Earth is flat. It would be, I think, it would be a great. I think it's a great idea for a number of reasons. One, because it's mine, but no, it allows for collaboration, which is what science is. It's a collaborative effort. And from a globe perspective, it is a fantastic teaching tool to show how what sorts of variables that you need to take into account. Conflating interference or conflating variables, all of these different types of things that you need to take into account in order to be able to trust the results that you get. Yeah, I imagine it's tough doing astronomy there because of the cloud cover. I would imagine that your cloud cover is you have a higher percentage of cloudy nights than I do. I just wrecked laser testing in my kitchen. So, yeah, there you go. Um, yeah, but I think the laser test idea is yes, clouds are. Yeah, we've been clouded out here more often than not with in the last couple weeks. Um, but uh, yes, clouds suck. Um, with the laser test, I don't know. Oh, well, like I said, it should be hopefully it'll move forward. For those of you who are out there who would like um, to participate, I'm making a Google Doc, which is going to be editable, which a select number of folks can edit to basically put their input into how the experiment should be run. And I'm going to be creating that tomorrow and sending that out to Witsit, and I'm going to ask if certain other people can also be added to it, because Austin seems to be particular about who he wants to involved in this project. I was thinking Dr. Bob. I was thinking Bruhif as two of the initials. November to May is cloudy. Wow. Yeah, we have. What is our? I should know this. I've been here for 2.5 years. I should figure this out, but I haven't really noticed a particular season that is more cloudy than not. I want to say winter is worse than summer, um, but yeah, I've been a lot. I've done observing in a lot of places in the U.S., the continental United States, and Virginia isn't the worst. I don't think it's the best either. Atlanta was pretty good. Atlanta, I think, was the best. Or Rutledge, Georgia, which is 50 miles outside of Atlanta. That was the best location, I think, in terms of cloudy. And that was we had a friend of mine got his master's degree by characterizing that site, and so he has this nice. He looked at, I think, 10 years worth of weather data, and it's this very nice sort of sinusoidal pattern in terms of cloudy nights over the course of the year. In the winter, it was, or no, in the summer actually it was worse, and then in the winter it was good. I believe that's how it worked. I believe that's the way it worked. I think Judy is asking, is that due to the lake effect? I'm assuming that what you mean by you're asking whether or not the cloudiness of, uh, I don't know, probably. Meraki, yes, this is probably the first time that Witsit will be um, subject to scientific rigor. I have never observed near a lake. Um, Obviously, I'm on the eastern seaboard, so I'm kind of ish close to the Atlantic Ocean. Not really. I've observed in Florida, so yeah, kind of close to the Gulf and the Atlantic. Observed in Louisiana, kind of close to the Gulf. Louisiana, Florida, suck. Um, well, period. Just Louisiana and Florida suck. Period. But from an observing standpoint, there it's just the low altitude and the humidity just make observing miserable. I know I'm taking images of M13. That's pretty much what I'm gonna probably. That is probably what I'm gonna stick on for the rest of the night. Or at least I'm gonna take these. I don't know. I think I set it up for 30 images or what have you. But if there is an object you would like me to look at afterward, I would be amenable to doing that. And if there is a particular object you would like me to image or have imaged, please let me know. And I will see about trying to get that done. Um, Wind comes over the lake and dumps rain on us. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. You're not a Youper, are you? You're not in the Upper Peninsula. If I remember correctly, you're in the upper parts of the Mitt. Nom, 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 nom. Troll. Over a bridge. That definitely is going to make observing very difficult. Trying to look through a bridge. All right. Let's see. What else can I babble on about? Yeah, Bob, we should do a collaboration on some subject. Maybe I don't know, astronomical observing, or just philosophy of science, or anything of that nature. I think that would be fun. I think that would be good. The Mac Bridge. Oh, I'm not familiar with the Mac Bridge. I'm assuming that's the bridge that goes over to Canada. Although I could be real wrong about that. Oh, in northern Michigan. Okay. I'm not doing much right now. Let's do this. Mac Bridge. Mackinac Bridge Authority. No, don't want to forget. Oh, got it. Yeah. All right. So you're right. It does connect the mitt to the upper. Ooh, that's a long straight bridge. Oh, look, in this image, I can make out curvature. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. I mean, granted, the bridge itself is curved, but I think I can also make out curvature of space. Yeah, it's a pretty bridge. Nice suspension bridge. I wonder how long that is. Mackinac. Looks like what, looks like 3-4 miles in extent. I think that's about right. Just Kai by eye. That's not what I wanted to do. Hide that. Where did it go? There we go. Fixed it. In 1958, a guy decided he never wanted to fly the 5 miles. All right, it was close. Beef 4,700. All right. Well, yeah. Negative, Ghost Rider. You are not cleared for a flyby. Yeah, I would imagine building a bridge or a suspension bridge over 5 miles of distance would be kind of challenging. So, Bob, I'm going to ask you the question that I get asked. I won't say most often, but it's definitely one of the most often questions. Or it's up there in the sort of top 5 of most common questions. Maybe I should write up a FAQ or an FAQ. Anyway, top 5 is, what is the furthest object you have seen in your telescope? Only open a year or two when he did it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can imagine. We're talking about the the lake effect and the weather, basically cloudy most of the year, and probably rain and snow and all that kind of good stuff. For us, and I would need to consult our students. I don't think Jonathan is probably. I don't think Jonathan's still here. But if I would have to consult my students, the furthest away we have observed is a galaxy that was um, 3 gigaparsecs away, or 3 million, basically 3 million light years away. 3 billion light years away, billion with a B. I don't remember. What I'd have to consult with them is which particular galaxy they were looking at. Megaparsecs. Okay. Do you do a lot of imaging? Do you do a lot of? I keep looking at that, but really I should look at the screen, the camera. Do you do a lot of astrophotography? I have to say I'm actually fairly ignorant of the type of observing that you do. I do know you have a really impressive setup. Yes, yes. I am blessed with having a very large aperture telescope. And as the joke goes, in astronomy, it is very true. The bigger, the better. Bigger your telescope, the more light you can collect. That allows you to see fainter, and it also gives you a little bit better angular resolution. Although, really, um, if you're not actually correcting for the atmosphere in any way with either tip tilt or adaptive optics, at that point, it really doesn't. The resolution doesn't really improve with aperture size. Okay, I thought you had a three. I thought you had a color camera. Do you have a color camera? Yes, you are, Bob. You basically, I think, you definitely have a better setup than certain observatories that I've been to. Definitely using a telescope of that size. That's definitely true. Um, your setup is probably better than um, the 20-inch telescope that I use at LSU, but I will minimize my critique of LSU uh, because I should be nice. Okay. Yeah, I would love to use a color camera at some point because doing three color imaging is, yeah, as I was rambling on about before, three color imaging ain't, what's the word I'm looking for? Ain't my forte. It's not my expertise. Oh, you've got three. Okay. I didn't realize you had three. 11-inch Rasa, 10-inch Mead, 8-inch Ricci. Uh, show. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, at the moment, aside from the 32-inch, at the moment we have two functioning 8-inch SCTs or Schmidt casts. One is a Nexstar 8, that is Celestron, and the other one is an LX. I want to say LX200. I think it's an LX200. Um, yeah, LX200 8-inch Mead. We have a 12-inch Mead LX200, but it's old and the hand pedals are broke. So I need to actually get off my butt and actually order a replacement hand pedal for that. But they are um, they are not nearly as well maintained or automated as yours are. I would love to get them that level of automated, but uh, there are there are infrastructure issues with doing it that way. Oh, you have the LX200 10-inch? Yeah. Meads are pretty good. I like Meads. I think the optics could be better, but that could just be because of reflecting, or they're reflectors rather than refractors. But I don't know. I'm becoming. I used to be really partial to Meads, but now I am becoming. I think I'm switching. I think I'm actually going from Ford to Chevy. I think I'm going over to the Celestron side of things, mainly because Meads support kind of sucks. Tech support kind of sucks. Hey, Judy, what is a hand paddle? Excellent question. A hand paddle is simply a device that allows you to manually control the telescope at its base. So our hand paddle for our telescope is very simple. It's literally a joystick, and you tell it to go left, it'll slew to the east. If you tell it to go right, it'll slew to the west. Up is north, down is south. We have 4 different settings. You can set it for a slew, which is a gross, very quick slew across the sky. I've forgotten what the speed is. I want to say it's on the order of 6 degrees per second, something on that range. And then the next slew down is a centering speed. That will allow you to. It's slower and allows you to basically center up the point or the star in a finder scope, for example, or an eyepiece. Then you have then the next one down is I don't know what you would call it. It's basically even slower, and then finally the last speed is what we call a guide speed, where if you were actually doing guiding by hand, you would set it to this speed. And what I mean by guiding is, so if your tracking isn't great, if your tracking isn't really nailed on, and you were doing a long time exposure image, or if you're doing spectroscopy, which requires a star to essentially be in the same spot on your detector for an extended period of time, then you would use the guide speed to manually keep that star centered, or keep that star exactly where it is. So you'd make fine adjustments to, if the tracking was drifting it off to the side, then you would move it back, things like that. Mm-hmm. Yep, little box that moves the telescope. Yeah, Celestron's the optics I've seen. If comparing now that I actually have a Mead and a Celestron right next to each other, and I can just directly compare apples to apples, then yeah, the ARM Nexstar 8, the optics are better than the LX 200 8-inch. So, granted, that is a sample size of 1, which I really shouldn't make any conclusions about, but I can say that is one of the reasons why I'm switching over to I'm becoming more of a Celestron fan. Wait a minute, what the fudge? Why did that move? Get back over here. Yeah, so if you don't, with our hand paddle being broken with the 32-inch telescope, what that essentially means is, as I was saying before, the only way to really move the telescope anywhere is to do so from the control room, which, as you can see, is not a part of the dome. So what that's going to do is that's going to, at the moment, what I'm concerned about is that's going to put a wrinkle in our public nights. Not a big wrinkle, but it will limit the tour guide's ability to just spontaneously say, "Oh, look, let's go to Mars, or let's go to the Andromeda Galaxy." That it's going to require the tour guide in the center in the dome to actually communicate with someone in the control room to switch targets. So, like I said, not a big wrinkle, but it's little bit limiting it does provide a certain limitation. We are trying to get our hand pedal fixed, but again, I'll be nice and not make too many comments about optical guidance systems. Optical guidance systems is the manufacturer of our telescope. And I might have to go make more coffee. A student of ours who just graduated, he just recently purchased himself a ZWO camera. I can't remember which one, but he's very happy with it. I don't think it's the 6200. But he's gotten some very impressive planetary images using that camera. We have a color camera. We do have a color camera. It is basically it's a webcam. It's a really, really old webcam. The problem that it has, one of the things that I want to do is, so we have right now we have four devices that we can use. Oh, nice. Yeah, we don't do asteroid work here. Maybe we should. I don't know. I'll have to give that more thought. But anyway, we have four devices that we can use that we can. Four devices that we have currently set up on the telescope that we can switch very rapidly between. Obviously, we have our CCD camera, which is the SBIG that I described before. We also have an eyepiece. We have that video camera, that really old webcam. And we also have a new snazzy, fancy-dancy IR camera, or camera which is specifically can look in the infrared regime beyond what even this camera can do. So I have my doubts as to how effective it's going to be because of the amount of humidity we have here, but we have it. The problem is that the problem is that they are all not. I keep forgetting the appropriate. I want to use the term parfocal, but I don't think that's right. They're not all the same focus. So if I were to switch over to, say, the eyepiece, or if I were to switch over to the webcam, or even the IR camera, without touching the focus, the images would be out of focus in those other three instruments. So they all, and what makes it worse is that none of the focus positions for the four instruments are the same. So every time you switch to another instrument, you've got to change the focus, which is a pain because focusing kind of sucks. And it's slow. It's a slow process. Oh yeah. I am very excited to see what this IR camera can do. Like I said, I have my doubts. I have my reservations about it, but right now it's a student project. And like I said, the Owen, the guy I've been referencing, he had, before he graduated, what he was able to do was he was able to come up with a GUI, to write a GUI program in Python that allows us to control the camera. And now what we have to do is we have to get the next step is to refine that GUI quite a little bit, and also then control the cooling system, because it's a liquid cooling system. Because obviously we want it to be as cold as possible. It's in the infrared or the heat regime, or the basically heat light, if you want to call it that. So we needed to get as cold as possible so we can eliminate any kind of signal from the camera itself. and that still needs to be worked out a little bit. So hopefully we can start getting images of it. Oh, that's right. The other issue is we have a USB 3 connection from that from that camera to our telescope, and apparently that is not it's not fast enough. Essentially, the data is not being received. If I understand it correctly, it's basically too much data to send over that cable. So what we're trying to do is a student is going to be writing a bit of code to throttle the amount of data that is coming out of the camera. Not the best solution, but at the moment it is the most viable one. And so that is the biggest hurdle right now, is being able to get that data from the camera to the computer. If worse comes to worse, we're actually going to have to set up some kind of computer in the dome that would actually do the data collection, and then we would VNC into, or dial in essentially into that computer and download the data from that computer. It's basically add another hoop to jump through. See, we had knowledge of the focus, but we destroyed it, and it was yeah. Just to finish off what I was saying about the focus before I answer that question, Bob, is one of the things that I want to do is I want to basically add extenders to all of the instruments. So the CCD camera, there's really nothing I can do to change the focus of that. The camera, the filter wheel, it's heavy, it's bulky. There really isn't, it wouldn't be advisable to stick an extender on that to try to change the focus of it. But luckily, it's the focus that is furthest out. So I think all I need to do is add extenders to both the eyepiece and the webcam. I don't know quite about the IR camera at this point, but I want to add extenders to the eyepiece and the webcam so that they're all essentially the same focus. Ideally, they would be the same focus, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get that precise with it. But yeah, that's one of the things I want to do, is I want to purchase some extenders to get those into at least the same focal area. Am I running a 286 computer? Talking about a really, really old system? No. Our oldest computer, which we are now phasing out, which is connected to our weather station, that was a Windows 7 machine. I want to say it was a Pentium. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you mean by 286. Ooh, Rachel responded to one of my comments. I need to find out what that's about. Oh, yeah. No, you're not running a 286, but sometimes it feels that way. Oh yeah, I remember when I was a wee lad, I used to build those. Actually, I was part of a club, Explorer Scouts, that we actually put together 286 machines. Although at that point, I think we were actually up to no, we were putting together 486 machines, 386, 486 machines, putting in the hard drives, putting in the RAM, and that is where I got my first introduction to Unix. And holy crow, that wasn't pleasant. Because Unix back in the 90s was pretty user belligerent. You have a cool guidebook. Turn left at Orion. Oh, let me look that up. Oh, I need to look into that other book that you were mentioning about the moon. Um, I did a cursory look at our library, and I didn't see it, but I could have swore we have the book that you referenced about the moon. Turn left and hundreds of night sky objects to see in a home telescope. Oh, spiral bound. Fantastic. Yeah, looking through this. I like the black and white pages. Yeah, I was noticing that. It's like it's black on white pages, and yeah, it looks like it's meant to be used in the field, which is nice. Surprisingly cooled down. It talks about cooling your Dobsonian talks about dew points on your telescope. Yeah, this actually looks pretty awesome. Nice table of objects. Awesome. Yeah. Looks pretty good. Yeah. Southern Hemisphere folks, the upside down moon and not being able to see Polaris and being able to see the Magellanic Clouds. Oh, all right, cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, Judy, if you ever need any other resources, and I apologize if you've asked and I've not delivered, but if you need any other recommendations, please let me know, and I'll be happy to provide recommendations to you. Eye telescope. I wonder where it is in Chile. I wonder if it's on Cerro Tololo. Um, I would not be surprised if that telescope is on Cerro Tololo. I don't know where it would be in Australia. Australia is actually kind of a crap place to view or to observe visually because it tends to be flat. From my understanding, the elevations tend to be flat and it tends to be windy. But could be wrong. Sliding Springs, 61-inch telescope in Utah. Ooh, observing in Utah. Now that's on my bucket list. Going to Utah, or actually spending time in the national parks in Utah, is actually on my bucket list. Particularly before climate change basically just ruins the entire experience. But Judy, you'd asked a question on one of my one of my shorts about what type of projector we use, what kind of planetarium projector, and I plan on actually showing you that, actually pulling it out and showing you that. But essentially, it is it's rather simple in the sense that it is a kind of a, I don't know if you've seen an not an overhead projector, but one of these kind of small movie theater projectors, or if you're in a lecture hall, or I guess yeah, a lecture hall of some sort, a projector that projects onto the wall, a presentation onto the wall. That's essentially what it uses. It projects through a fisheye lens and projects the image onto the dome. And it has a computer inside in the box that we can access through a tablet. And we actually use the Solarium program as our planetarium program. And because Solarium, you can change the way the sky is viewed, and you can do it as if you were looking. I think it's called the planetarium mode, where it changes the perspective of the sky that it looks normal if you were looking at the image through a fisheye lens. If you did it on your computer, the night sky would be all kinds of distorted. But if you look at it through a fisheye lens, then it actually looks reasonable, looks good. Let's see, you're going to get their MPC codes. What is an MPC code? You will have to excuse me. I need more coffee, so I'm going to go get more coffee. Minor Planetary Observatory codes. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to talk to you more about that at some other time in voice, because I think looking at asteroids would be a fun project for undergraduate research. I mean, I looked at asteroids back in the 90s, so it's been a very, very long time since I've done that kind of work. So I'm not familiar with exactly what kind of projects can be done. I know you can do light curve analysis to determine essentially get a really kludgy sort of look at the length, the width, and the breadth of the asteroid as it's tumbling. But yeah, it would be cool. I think that would be an excellent project for an undergraduate. So I'd very much like to talk with you at that point to see it. Yeah, photometry. Mm-hmm. Yes, to an arc second. That is, yeah, you need a pretty stable instrument in order to do that. You also need to have very good seeing in order to do that, I think. I might. I'll see about that. But anyway, hold on a second. Coffee. Oh. All right, I'll put the kettle on. Actually, that gives me a an idea. So I don't know if you're aware, but we do, excuse me, we do a public series of events here called Evening Under the Stars, where we have a public speaker followed up by an observatory tour. And if you would be interested in that sort of thing, we have openings this semester for speakers. So if you wanted to, say, give a presentation on asteroids, searching for asteroids for NEOs, to the general public here at George Mason, to students in the quantities, you would be doing me a great favor, because I have been having a little bit of trouble lining up speakers for my events. So if that's something you'd be interested in, let me know, and I will email you, or we can get on Discord at some point and work out the details for it. But I think that would be awesome to have you speak at our event, particularly with the setup that you've got. So yeah, please consider it. Okay, yeah. That would be awesome. I can even talk, if you're seriously thinking of coming out, I can see what I can do about getting having the department reimburse you in some way. I don't know if I've never done that before. I've never asked the department for that kind of that resource, but I would imagine that I would hope that something could be done. That would be awesome. Let's see. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Hold on a second. I need to get a power cord. Nope. Ha! Phone is dying. Yes, no. Hey, it's charging. Awesome. Hold on a second. I had a stand for my phone, but I can't seem to find it. So, oh well. Yeah. Judy retracted a statement. I can't remember what Judy said. So yeah, the next Evening Under the Stars speaker actually is probably going to be me, and I will be talking about the light pollution problem. Basically, how light pollution is affecting ground-based astronomy, or at least I will probably approach it in terms of how light pollution has gotten exponentially worse over the years, how we are losing an excellent teaching opportunity or a teaching resource for our kids, because at least in the United States, the number I've seen bandied about is 80% of folks in the United States cannot see the Milky Way galaxy from their location. And so children are really losing out on the sort of the inspiration that the night sky can provide, to be able to look up into the cosmos and actually, sort of night sky, and see the myriad of stars, and see our and see the Milky Way galaxy and really get that sense of being in a vast cosmic region. I'll be right back. Send you our city ordinance. Yeah, at the moment we're trying to actually get an ordinance passed through, um, not county, I guess it's a town ordinance that's near us to get the light or basically get the light pollution under control. Although honestly, it's like sticking your finger in a crumbling dam. It'll help, but it's not going to help much because we've got DC. We've also got a region called Tyson's Corner, which is just hugely lit up. So, all right, I'll be right back. And port on a cruise ship is excellent. Yeah, I can seeing the night sky on a cruise ship. That would be pretty epic, I imagine. I can say, oh yeah, what really kind of chaps my ass is that George Mason is one of the worst light polluters in this area. It really is kind of crap. And actually, Bob, if you do come, you can see one of the biggest problems that we have is that right next to our observatory, we have these two tower-looking things that have giant lights on top of them, and you can literally see my shadow being projected onto a wall of the control room while I stand on our observing deck. I mean, that's how much light is being emitted from in that area. It's redonkulous. We basically lose the northwestern part of our sky, or not lose, but it's severely light polluted, and it's annoying the hell out of me. I like to say that if those lights ever get shot out, I definitely did not have anything to do with shooting those lights out. Oh, Wyoming. Oh my God. Yeah, so Wyoming. I was either in Wyoming or in Montana. I was driving through, so I couldn't get a lot of time there. But I just pulled over and off the highway and just looked up, and I mean the skies in Wyoming and Montana are just fucking awesome anyway. Just because they call it big sky country, and they ain't lying. Just amazing view of the sky, and at night it was beautiful. But the best view, the two best views I've seen are in West Virginia. There's a radio telescope called Green Bank in a very small town called Green Bank. And this was back in the 90s. It was a new moon. It was the first time, and really the only time, I have ever been in a situation where I literally could not see the hand in front of my face. It was that dark. Oh my God, I still remember that sky. It was amazing. It was so amazing. There were so many stars that I actually couldn't navigate it. I really couldn't find any constellations because I'm so used to only seeing the constellations in a light polluted sky. So there are obviously only 5, maybe 6 or maybe 7, depending on the size of the constellation, bright stars that I can see. And that's the recognizable pattern. But in a really dark sky, you can see dozens of stars, and so it's really kind of hard to pick out. Oh yeah, that's Capella. Um, but the other one was I was in the middle of nowhere, Mexico, and again I pulled off to the side of the road, and that was also probably the second best. Yeah, that was the second best sky I've ever seen. Have an alibi, yeah. Howdy, Blue. Nice. Thanks for joining us. It's pretty early for you as well. Overnight deep sea fishing trips. It's been so. It's been so. I got you what you mean, Blue. It's been so long since I've actually been on the water. Um, it really needs a change. I'm not really a water person, but as a Navy brat, I grew up around obviously naval bases and grew up around water. I kind of miss it sometimes. I kind of miss the smell of the ocean, being on the water. Oh, Dr. Clive. Howdy, howdy. So yeah. That would be awesome. Named after Green Banks, as in a guy named Mr. Banks, Mr. Green Banks. Alien hunting again. I wish. Maybe. Well, this particular object is far away. I want to say it's definitely in the range of thousands of light years away. These are all old stars, so actually that poses a very interesting question of whether or not aliens could, if there are these stars, all of these stars have planets going around them. At least that's what the current science tells us, is that all of the stars in that image have exoplanets going around it. Yeah, Green Banks Observatory. I actually have observed there. Our students, every semester, we take our students out to Green Bank to use the cute little 40-foot. That's kind of an experience. You get this nice like 1960s chart reader. Anyway, but yeah, so every star that you see in the sky in this image has planets going around it. Or has had planets going around it, depending on whether or not the star has evolved and has eaten some of the planets. And but can life exist on those planets? Because as you can see, those stars are very, very tightly clustered. I don't know off the top of my head what the average distance between them is, but it is going to be smaller than the average distance that you have in the solar neighborhood. And these are fairly, and there are a lot of them. There are 100 in this particular cloud. I think the number goes up to 1 million. Definitely hundreds of thousands of stars, which is orders of magnitude larger than the number of stars in the solar neighborhood. So the idea or the question then becomes, there's so much radiation in that environment. Could life survive in that environment? Then you also have the question of whether or not life could even evolve in that or in that environment, because these are all again very old stars, meaning that they're also very metal poor. So the amount of carbon, the amount of iron, heavier elements in these stars is going to be, and subsequently in their planets, is going to be much smaller. So it's possible that the number of terrestrial planets and moons could be smaller in number than we see than we would see with a solar system type place. The you need 6 elements for life, as we know: carbon, hydrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen, nitrogen, carbon, uh, phosphorus, sulfur, and oxygen. No, I don't think it's oxygen. Somewhere in there. Anyway, these are all heavier elements. So if the stars don't have a lot of this, then obviously there's not enough material to actually create life. So I don't know. Calcium. Um. So yeah. Um. So aliens. Maybe. I'd like to think. I would love to think that we are looking at right now. We are looking at one of those stars in that region has some kind of life on it. Intelligent life. I would tend to maybe. I don't think that intelligent life is advanced enough to be spacefaring, but it's definitely fun to think about. It's really kind of for me. It's almost what's the word I'm looking for? Not awe-inspiring, but yeah, I'm losing my words. It's profound, I guess. This sort of humbling to think about that. We're looking at these stars right now. The stars that we're looking at in this image, there are planets going around these stars, and some of those planets or some of those moons may in fact have some form of life on them. I mean, that is to me, it's just sort of mind blowing to really conceptualize, like really internalize what it means to be able to that there is life outside of our solar system. It's just mind boggling, and that we're actually seeing it. Not really. I mean, obviously, we can't resolve it, but maybe a photon reflects on. Maybe there is a photon that has reflected off of Bob the alien guy and has traveled through space and is being received by my camera. So I can say that I have actually imaged or seen light from an alien. Now that is really speculative and probably is not true, but it's nice to think about. It's nice that possibility may in fact be there. That the light that we are seeing that is hitting my detector, some of that light may have, maybe one of those photons may have bounced off an alien and come in and hit me. I sincerely doubt it, but it's cool to think about. If I can use Velcro, there could be other life out there. Yeah. I agree that I often get asked, do I believe in aliens, or do I believe in life outside of this, outside of the Earth or solar system? And my answer is, and forgive me if I've said this before. My answer is definitely believe that there is life which is existing concurrently to us now. That does exist on other planets going around other stars. That life is more than likely simple, either single-celled or primitive multicellular, like eukaryote. I think eukaryotic cells are multicellular. I don't know. I'm not a biologist, but simple multicellular life. I would gamble that there is complex life out there, maybe dinos or mammals or what have you, maybe some kind of complex life out there. Is there intelligent life? Is there intelligent life capable of space travel out there? I highly doubt it, because I'm with Fermi on this one. If there is, we would have seen some evidence of it by now, I think. Because if you run just simple thought experiments, it's actually fairly easy for a excuse me, it's fairly easy for a spacefaring civilization to actually expand out into the galaxy to the point that we would have seen some kind of evidence for it by now. And I also believe that intelligent life, and I think the reason for the lack of intelligent life concurrently with us is due to the climate problem. I agree with an author by the name of Adam Frank that every planet, every technical civilization, or every advanced civilization is going to run into the fossil fuel climate change problem. And depending how quickly they recognize the problem and how quickly they can rectify that problem is going to determine whether or not that species continues to exist, or definitely continues to exist in a technological state where they can actually, thrive and evolve. So, yeah, I hope our first contact is not also Submit. that would be a little disturbing, or what's the word I'm looking for? Disappointing. What are our images at? We're at 29. I think actually we're about to end the number of. I think I set it up for 30 images per. So this imaging run may be ending soon. Let me take a look at something real quick. Where is my? Oh, where is my information window? Nope. Oh, it's right there in front of me. I am so not observant. So our full with half max. Oh, all right. I'm not really getting a great reading on these, but doesn't look like the seeing has improved overly much. Oh, wow. Full with half max sucks. These are fucking meatballs. That's not what I want. Stupid program downloading stuff when I'm trying to do stuff. Yeah, the meatball problem, or having stars that look like meatballs, is going to be an issue in that I really want to be able to pick out those individual stars in the center. Oh, all right, cool. Maybe we can. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. We'll see. Are you talking about aliens? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Assuming they've gotten the message. Yeah. Where's I going with that? So the other thing that I want to do with this, although with this data set, it would be kind of difficult, but I could at least I think get some sense of it. Is by observing globular clusters. I said that this globular cluster was, roughly anywhere between 10 to 13 billion years old. Globular clusters are actually great laboratories for actually determining the ages of stars. And the way you do that is by looking at basically the brightness and the colors of the stars as an ensemble. And from that ensemble, you can fairly easily actually pick out what the overall age of the cluster is, given certain assumptions. The assumptions being that the stars are relatively all at the same distance, that the distance in between the stars is small relative to the distance of the cluster itself, which I think is a fairly good assumption, and that all the stars that we're seeing in the cluster all formed at roughly the same time. Again, the span of ages for the beginnings of the stars probably would be in the order of tens of millions of years, whereas the overall age of this cluster, like I said, is in the billions of years. So again, small. I think that's a fairly robust assumption you can make. Problem is, in order to do that, you really need to be able to see the entire cluster, all the stars in the cluster, including especially the faint ones, because most of the stars that you're seeing here are superfluous as a mentor of mine would say, in that these stars are large. They're giants. They are evolved stars. Almost all of the stars that you can see here are evolved. They're just giant stars. The larger the star, the larger the luminosity, the brighter they are. But there are main sequence stars in there. There are stars like our sun, but they are much fainter because this thing is tens of thousands of light years away, or at least thousands of light years away. So you need to really be able to pick out those smaller stars, which I don't know if we can here. I know I tried this experiment at LSU with our 20-inch telescope, and no, I could only see the evolved stars. I really couldn't get down to that main sequence or the stars that look like our sun, and that's vital to using this technique that I'm vaguely describing. But with the 32-inch, I think I might be able to get down into that main sequence range and actually use images from our telescope for some kind of lab. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't think this data set, like I said, I don't think this data set is going to let me to do that. But at least if I analyze it, I can get a kind of a hand wavy sort of sense as to whether or not it's even possible. Meet us in Central Park, bring soy sauce. That reminds me of the classic Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man. If you have not seen that episode of the Twilight Zone, then I don't know how you live. I just don't. You have not lived life properly. You were not raised properly, in my opinion. The Twilight Zone is just phenomenal television. To Serve Man is one of the top 5, in my opinion, episodes of the series. The Eye of the Beholder is also a fantastic friggin' episode. Blew my mind when I was a kid and watching that on reruns. But yeah, To Serve Man, fucking fantastic. I won't spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it. Hey, we have a Gary in the. Hey, Gary, guess what? Guess what I'm doing? I'm tracking an object across the sky at the sidereal rate using an equatorial telescope. It's amazing how this works. Granted, I'm not doing it horizon to horizon. I've only been doing it from an altitude of maybe 30 degrees to, I don't know what it is now. Where are we now? We're at an altitude of 64 degrees. So I've only really tracked it over about 25, 30 degrees of altitude. So yeah. Yes, Judy, it was amazing. It was a great episode. Glad to know that you've seen it. You were raised right. So why not from horizon to horizon? Well, because M13 wasn't on the horizon when I got to it, and M13 is currently not on the horizon at the moment. So if I wanted to, if I had enough time in the day, which I don't, I could track this thing down to the other horizon, but I think the sun's going to come up well before that actually happens. I'm hoping the sun may actually come up before it even transits. Where am I? What am I doing here? I just click that. Dun, dun, dun. So yeah, see, stars. So yeah, gathering of the village idiots. So nice to know that you're such a wonderfully positive person there, Gary. No, not so much actually. And if the failings of tracking near the horizon, the only reason why, or the main reason for that, is because of the atmospheric refraction involved. And the reason why you'd have atmospheric refraction is, and bear with me, is because the Earth is a sphere and you were looking through more atmosphere. So I have never noticed, and I've told you this before, and I'll tell you this again. I have done horizon to horizon observations. Um, I have done horizon to horizon observations before, and I have not seen any significant errors in tracking because of it. That is really pretty, isn't it? I loves me. This is top five of my favorite objects to look at. My favoriteest object to look at is the Orion Nebula. Whirlpool is also one of my favorites, but that's mainly because it's one of the first targets I ever imaged through a CCD. The Sombrero is really fun. I love the Sombrero Galaxy. Um, what else is there that I like? Crab is cool. The Crab Nebula is cool. Um, let's see. King rate accounts for refraction. Interesting. I don't think ours does. Or if it does, I haven't really played with it. It would fail because they're not going down; they're moving away. Wrong. That is in fact not the case. It is demonstrably not the case. But all right. Um, it just, Gary, I've got to ask. Professional astronomers are observing the night sky every night. There is a telescope pointed at the night sky every night around the globe. And my point there is we have been a number of people, thousands of people, in fact, observe using equatorial mounts and have been for decades. Why is it that you seem to think that we are all wrong and you are correct? Refraction is a non-issue for horizons. That is, in fact, not correct. The black swan, as you all like to point out, is a prime example of how refraction at the horizon is very much an effect that needs to be taken into account. Foreshortening is the globe problem. I don't know what you mean by foreshortening. You're not going to see foreshortening on a celestial sphere because it's a sphere. And I do apologize if I seem to have very little patience for you, but mainly because of how you were questioning my faith in a comment section. I haven't quite gotten over the insult of that. So I will try to. I'll try to get over it and forgive you and be more kind. But it's going to take a bit. It is going to take a bit there, Gary. King rate slows down the refraction. You don't see his comments? Why don't you see his comments? I am somewhat of a YouTube neophyte, so I don't know why you would not be able to. So, Bob, you can't see Gary's comments in this particular live stream? Is it because Gary has you blocked? So Gary would like Bob. Gary would like to know. Gary would like to know why the equatorial mount fails near the horizon, even though I have told him repeatedly that it does not. But he doesn't seem to want to believe me on that. Oh, all right. You shouldn't block people, Gary. It tends to lends to putting yourself in an echo chamber. Wait a minute. All right. This is, oops, sorry. I'm noticing something here, particularly with Stevie B, that a lot of you are not mods when you should be. So let's see if I can fix that. 5. All right, here we go. Got this up. I'm going to add you. Blue is becoming blue. Judy is becoming blue. Clive is already blue. Rocky, where are you at? There you are. And boom. All right. So think you are all blue. Except for Gary. Because, no, Gary is not going to be a mod until he apologizes. So no. So, all right, cool. Oh yeah, all right. So this is going to keep going. Bob Gary says, I didn't block Bob. Bob blocked me because I remind people that he claims you have to steer your car to adjust for Coriolis effects while driving down the highway. That's an odd reason to block somebody, but all right, sure. Gary, Bob is ignoring you. So if you want him to, if you were really looking for him to answer your question about why the equatorial mount fails at the horizon, I don't think he's going to answer you. I do want, at this point, like I said, I have been looking at the Hercules cluster, M13 for some time now, and in the hopes that I can make a nice, pretty 3-color image of it. But if folks, and I am at image 106 of 180, so given the time constraints, I'm probably going to stay on this object for until the sun comes up. But if there are any objects that you would like me to image for you, or that you would like to see through the telescope, please let me know in the comments section, or you can email me, or you can reach me through Discord. Just let me know, and I will see what I can do to set that up. Gary is the attention-craving variant of Flat Earther, I suppose. Dan the Waterman, are you still in here? You know you were here before, but you, I don't know if you're still here. Speaking of folks on the Flat Earth side. Oh, look at that. I do like looking at globular clusters as an object. I do like looking at globular clusters more than I like looking at open clusters. Definitely, planetary nebula. Those are cool. Some are very cool. Some are just kind of blobby things. Supernova remnant, I like more. Spiral galaxies like a nice flocculent, grand design spiral, that, chef's kiss. You can't get better than that, I don't think. But in terms of just never, for me, never failing to disappoint, globulars are the way to go. They are just awesome objects. Like I said, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of stars. Granted, you can only see in this image probably a few thousand, or maybe 1,000. Definitely a few hundred, maybe 1,000. But still, you get the idea. Oh, howdy, Stevie. I haven't seen you in a while. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I've noticed if the number of people that it says are watching, then yeah, a few people are doing the lurker thing. Yeah, I know, Gary. I know. I have mortally wounded you by excluding you from becoming a mod. I know, um, and that is just how it's going to be. Like I said, if you apologize to me, I would consider making you a mod. But you know. Uh, so, Gary, what is the furthest object you have? Presumably, since you're an expert on equatorial mounts, you've done quite a bit of um, observing. What is the furthest object you have observed, or at least the furthest object in terms of our distances, the distances that science says these things are at? For Bob, it's millions of parsecs. For our ginormous 32-inch telescope, we've actually gotten out to gigaparsecs. So I'm curious what your furthest object is, or at least, or if you don't know it, what is the object you like to look at most through a telescope? The back 40. Meraki, I don't think I I don't think I catch that reference. Hey, howdy, Nimrod. Welcome to the party. I am I am imaging the globular cluster M13 through our his backyard. Okay. Um, back 40 acres, I guess. 40 acres? Wow. All right. Yeah, Nimrod, where I am using the 32-inch telescope, which you can see on the right, is currently imaging M13, which you can see on the left. Rural farm reference. My folks and grandparents were farmers. Well, my grandparents were farmers. My parents were raised on farms, but that's as far as my experience goes because I was not. Blue, I'm asking Gary because, like I said, he seems to think that he knows more about observing the sky than uh, astronomers do, and so I'm generally curious to know what his experience. What is his favorite object to look through a telescope at? What is the longest? What is the farthest he's been able to see? Gary, do you do astrophotography in any way? So, you know, I'm trying, basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to gather, I'm trying to get a sense of what your observing experience is. And so I can possibly get a better sense of why it is you believe that you know better than all the observational astronomers on the planet. Yes, yes, I have noticed that, Meraki. That certain flat earthers do seem to think quite a bit of themselves. Oh, Gary blocked you? Oh, well, all right. Da-da-da-da-da. There you go, Nimrod. You are now going to be blue. It's total irrelevance, best ignored. Yeah, I don't know. He reaches out to engage me, so I figured I would do the courtesy of engaging him back. So, because I think that he is challenging me, and more recently he has been challenging me in more, shall we say, inconsiderate ways. So I am going to be very direct in that every time he talks or every time he makes claims, I'm going to ask him to back them up, so that I can understand how it is that he feels that he can pass judgment on how astronomy works. Hey, no problem, Nimrod. You are definitely one of my biggest supporters, so I'm definitely going to give you as much as I can. Yeah, I know he's not honest. But again, I'm going to challenge him because, like I said, mainly because he's irritated me recently, and I'm trying to be forgiving. I'm trying to be nice, loving, but there's just some people it's really hard to do that with. Really hard to do that with. So, but yeah, I had hey, howdy, Tina. All right, well, and Tina's up here. Boom. Let's make her blue. I think blue is Tina's color. So, Pika Blue. Hopefully you're now a mod. We'll find out. Anyway, so yeah, it was actually kind of fun yesterday talking to Witsit. Not nearly as combative as I was expecting it to be. So that was nice. That was pretty cool. All right, Pika Blue. Yep. Yeah, most of the folks I was chatting with on oh, Blue, you're here. Oh yeah, I I got challenged by SE. I actually talked with SE Montreal, and yeah, I basically his arguments come down to I don't believe it, and if you do, I'm going to laugh at you. That's it. That's basically his argument about dark energy, dark matter, is that he thinks the idea is outrageous, and he will laugh at you if you believe it. If you believe that there is any indication that dark energy and dark matter exist. It's like, okay, I don't know how to engage that, because the evidence is there. I mean, is our interpretation of what dark matter, dark energy is at this point correct? Probably not. Mainly because we don't have a very good description of what it is. But yeah, to me, SE seems to think that astronomers, one, make up stuff, just kind of come up with, hey, this sounds cool. And two, that we are just doubled down on it, that we are not open-minded to the idea that we could be wrong about it. And I don't know where he's getting that from. I've seen that with other folks in the flat earth, is that they seem to think that science is absolute, that when we say that that the universe is 13.7 billion years old, that we are not open to the idea that we are wrong. And so when there are discrepancies in measurements, for instance, Austin mentioned at some other point that fairly recently, and I looked into this, it was in 2012, the distance to Polaris actually changed significantly. It actually is closer. We believe it is now closer than it was before. I have my doubts on that, but that's beside the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that Austin uses this as an example of, oh, well, astronomy is wrong, so astronomy can't be trusted at all, which I find to be interesting because that's how science works. I mean, I think I've talked about this in another stream, but science has to be open to the idea that we are wrong. We can only go with the best observations that we have. So, yeah, and that's actually the kind of the exciting part about astronomy is when we get conflicting data, or when we get when somebody gets a different result than we would expect, is tracking that down and figuring out what's going on here. It's certainly job security, so that works. Oh yeah, the emulsion. I forgot about that, or emulation, as he continually wants to call it. Yeah, SE is polite. I will give him that. I will give him that. Although he is, like I said, kind of, in a certain sense, kind of condescending. But yeah, the fact that gelatin, and I will keep looking into this, but his claim that because gelatin is created by boiling animal products, that then means that gelatin will boil off in a vacuum. That I don't quite understand. Bob, yes. Before you go, yeah, I would be very much interested in having you come to visit. I'm very much interested in doing some kind of collab on YouTube with you. I am very much interested in talking to you about asteroids, and I will also say, if you want to be a speaker in Evening of the Stars, I got slots open. So please consider that. Like I said, you'd be doing me a great favor. So, yeah, please, I will be in touch with you. And oh, cool, awesome. And I will send you my number. But good night. Good night. Thank you for being here and tonight and keeping me company, as it were. So. Let's see. Yeah, I kind of think that's what he thinks gelatin is Jello. Oh, that reminds me. I acquired photographic plates from my time at LSU. I don't know their provenance. I don't know where they were taken. I don't know with what they were taken, but I have actual photographic plates of various objects. They're very, very cool because I geek out on that sort of thing. And so I can actually show you what a photographic plate looks like, an exposed photographic plate. So the emulsion has been removed through the developing process, but they are very cool. What I really want to do is, because they're basically see-through, I want to mount them into a lit frame. So they're backlit so you can actually see them. Oh, they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. So at some point, they're in my office at the moment. So at some point when I'm streaming from my office, I'll try to remember that they exist, and I'll try to bring them out so that I can show folks what they look like. Because photographic plates is where we started. That's where we, right now, obviously we're doing CCD imaging, or I'm doing CCD imaging. But the first imaging that we were able to do was through photographic plates, which is a laborious process. It is dirty. It is hazardous. I am so glad I am living in this era and not 50 some odd years ago, or even 100 years ago. I guess photographic plates really took off in the early 1900s, or very late 1800s and early 1900s with the Harvard Observatory. So yeah. Let's see. 120 of 100, 129 images of 180. Collodion plates? I'm not familiar with that, Meraki. I'm not familiar. Well, I have the power of the internet. Let me look that up. You know what? I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I don't know the provenance of these plates, but looking at examples of images using the collodion process, I would say yes. I would say that I would say that it is definitely within the realm of possibility. Silver nitrate bath. It's astronomy. I actually don't know how it was typically done. I don't know the specifics how photographic plates were actually done. Are these my alien plates? No, they in fact are. The ones I will show you do not have aliens on them. I may or may not, in fact, have photographic evidence of aliens, but you will never know. That I am sworn to secrecy to keep under my hat. Glass plates, yeah. The phones I have are glass. So plates are 8 by 10 inches. That's what I've got. So this is from the Mary Mitchell Association. Yeah, not sure. Yeah, figure it out. They are astronomical, yes. As far as I can determine, they are astronomical plates. Yeah, I'm looking at the Mary Mitchell Association. The MMO plate collection, and yes, the description here is 8 by 10 inches. That's the size of the plate that these are. I don't know what the scale is because I am paranoid about using them or about handling them because I don't want to ruin them. But it would be But that is something I could do. I know that one of the images is of the crab. So from that, I can get a rough plate scale. Um, there's a globular in there, probably either M13 or M15. I don't know which off the top of my head. Yeah. Like I said, I will definitely show them. Intelligence is alien to Gary. No, Gary is an intelligent individual. He seems like he's an intelligent individual anyway. Is he right? No. He was not. Yes, Marky, they are. Mm-hmm. So, near the very beginning of this, Judy had asked me about the camera, and I went on this sort of very brief explanation of quantum efficiency. And so, for modern CCDs, modern backlit CCDs, the quantum efficiency in the green and the red can be as much as 90%, meaning that you're just looking at the sensor. If you expose light onto the sensor, for every 100 photons in the red part of the spectrum, 90 of them will be registered by the sensor. 10 of them will either pass through the sensor or be reflected. Well, probably not pass through. They will be either absorbed by the sensor or they will be reflected off of. They just won't be registered. So, and then it dies off in the blue. Blue would be, I think, probably depending on the camera, obviously, depends on, we're talking about a quantum efficiency of probably around 75% max. Maybe, usually I've seen around 50. For photographic plates, which actually are more sensitive in the blue than they are in the red, which is counter to modern CCDs. Modern CCDs are much more sensitive in the red than they are in the blue. But the peak efficiency, the peak quantum efficiencies for photographic plates was about 10% in the blue. So that means that for every 100 photons that hits the photographic plate, it only registers 10. So you have to expose for a much longer time in order to build up the same amount of signal that you can with a CCD, because the plate just isn't registering the incoming photons as efficiently as the CCD camera is. So yeah, that's one of the benefits of CCD cameras. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to be talking about this later today, but later today I'm going to be doing a lecture on telescopes, and in those lecture series, I will probably be doing at least 2, if not 3 lectures on telescopes and detector systems. So I don't know if I'll get to it today in the first lecture or if it'll have to wait for the second. But yes, I will actually talk about CCD imaging, photographic plates, and also photoelectric photomultiplier tubes, which is another technique or another device that is used to basically gather the brightness of an object. Good question. So the question is, why do I take so many exposures? I have been very inconsistent in the past, Judy, but I am planning on having my lecture at the posted time of 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. UTC or 20 hours UTC. that's the plan. Work work might get in the way of that, but that's the plan. So when we look at these images, and actually I am going to open up, I'm going to wait till this downloads so that MaximDL doesn't freak out at me. And I'll open up an image so that I can play with it. All right. Oops. Dr. Rob. That one. All right. So this is the first image that I took in green today. Let us do this. Or not. Okay. Yay. All right. So I'm going to manipulate this image while it's taking images over there. And so what we see is, you see the image, or see this cluster of stars. Now, the counts, if we were to look at the total counts, or how many basically photons, in a way, how many photons we've received for every pixel, that's going to range somewhere between 1,500 to about 20,000 for each of these pixels. So we have quite a large range in the number of photons that we can look at. However, we only have 255 channels from which to represent that. And so when we look at this image that we can see here, you can see that the center region right here appears to be blown out, appears to that you cannot see any of the individual stars in the center. And actually, that's just simply because of what we call the scaling. If I was to change the scaling, you can see that the central stars become visible. But if we also change the scaling, and flip it around, let's see here. Try to do this. Wow, this is kind of crap. Much better. So this is a negative image. And so hopefully you can see all these little dots that you can see back here. Hopefully you can see. Those are individual stars. Those are individual stars themselves, but they're very, very faint. And so there are two ways you can try to approach this. If your goal is to bring out those faint stars, if your goal is to try to image as many stars in this cluster as possible, there are two ways you can do this. You can either take a really, really long exposure, or you can do what I'm doing, which is called track and stack. With really long exposure, the problem is that, one, your pointing has to be very, very good, because if it's not, your stars are going to trail, and that's going to mess things up. But really, the problem is, if you have a really, really long exposure, then you will pick out these background stars. You will be able to get those fainter stars if you expose long enough. But the center stars, those brightest stars, those are going to saturate, because at some point, at a point where a pixel contains 65,565 counts, it can't get any more. It can't register anymore. It's full. Your rain bucket is full. No matter how much more rain you put into that bucket, it's still going to be 65,565 counts, droplets of rain. So they're saturated, and it's going to bleed out, and you're going to see something like on what you see on the screen. And no matter what your scaling is, you're not going to be able to see those individual stars anymore because it's just blown out, and basically the water has gone out over all things. Basically, it's overflowed essentially. So that's the limitation of really long time exposures. While it is very effective at getting down to that small or those faint objects, you're gonna lose your ability to see those bright objects. So your dynamic range is limited by that. Track and stack, on the other hand, is you take shorter exposures and you co-add them. You take a whole bunch of short exposures and you co-add them. You align them so that each of the stars is each individual star is aligned onto the same star from the next image, and you add them all together. So you're adding the signal for all those stars together. What we find is that if you do that, your signal is going to go up by linearly. So if one image you have 10,000 counts in it, and in the second image it has 10,000 counts, then the signal is going to have 20,000 counts. But the background noise is going to add as the square root. So basically your signal is going to the square root of that. And so your signal is going to grow faster than your noise does, your background sort of contamination. And when you track and stack, you're no longer limited by that 65,000 cap. You could basically get as many counts as you can add. And then it becomes a problem of scaling. The problem with track and stack is, at this point, assuming that you can align things properly and all that kind of good stuff, the problem with track and stack is if your individual exposures are not long enough to actually bring out the source or the small faint stars to be able to see them distinctly away from the background, it doesn't matter how many stacks you make or how many images you make, you're not going to build up signal. And so with the track and stack method, if your individual exposures are not long enough, then like I said, it doesn't matter how many images you take, you're not going to see those faint stars. So the drawback of track and stack as opposed to, so with long exposures, it is easier to pull out those faint background stars, but you will lose the ability to distinguish bright stars that are close by each other. For track and stack, you keep the ability, you retain the ability to see those bright stars right next to each other, but you potentially lose the ability to see those really faint background stars because your individual exposures haven't been able to see them. So hopefully that was clear. And that is the reason why I'm taking so many exposures, is so that I can build up this image and be able to see those background stars, because there are, as I've said before, there are hundreds of thousands of stars in this object, possibly even a million. And you can see that, this image on the left, obviously it's sort of apples to oranges because I'm using a negative, comparing a negative image to a positive image. But you can see, like in this image, the globular cluster is sort of located or constrained in, I don't know if you can see my cursor. Yes, you can. You constrain it as this kind of size. But if you look over here, and again, if I, oops, nope, that's not what I wanted. Oh, it's downloading. Look over here. Hopefully you can see from these speckle or these bright stars that this globular cluster is actually significantly larger than what you would see based on this scaling. It doesn't eliminate them, it mitigates them. So, I mean, in practice, I get in theory, then it could. If you have enough images and you only have a streak from in one of your images, then effectively you can eliminate that streak. In practice, um, the streak is going to be so bright, and you're not going to be able to take enough images to tamp down that signal. Um, Morning, Space Audits. You're not going to be able to tamp down. So you will see it, but it certainly will not be as bright or as significant as if you took a single image or even maybe 2 or 3 images. So. Yeah, with SE, I'm going to look at that website that he was showing that he was that SE was mining those clips from to find out exactly what was going on there. I suspect that there's something wrong or something that is being missed with that. So Space Audits. One of the things our telescope is pretty much in high demand, and we also have had a lot of cloudy nights recently. So it's very rare for the telescope to basically be unused. And I knew that tonight the telescope was going to initially be used by our students, and then afterward it wasn't going to be used at all. So my intention was to go live and just show folks how the telescope is used. I originally wanted to do this actually earlier in the evening, but I overslept, so I got up around 2, and I think I went live around 2:30 or so, and I've been just at it since, trying to get images so that I can, when I have in my infinite free time, when I have free that time, I can blah, 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 blah. I can make a pretty picture and do some other stuff. Yes, and I am looking for aliens. I don't think I'm going to be very successful at it, but I will definitely let you know if I find them. Or will I? Depends on how much NASA pays me to keep it quiet. It really does. I can be bought. Okay, so a much sharper composite image can be produced. Yes, I would agree with that. You can definitely, by track and stack, your dynamic range is going to increase. So you have more, a larger range to play with. You're still limited. You're still going to be limited by that 255 channels that you can display the whitest whites from the blackest blacks. But in general, you're going to have a larger range to play with in terms of literal counts. So, I'm going to lean back. You'd think so, but I don't know. The tricksy government, they might want to keep that quiet. I don't know. I will have to say though that if I were more awake or more, I had more energy, I would go off on a rant about the absurdity of changing the friggin' acronym from UFOs to UAPs. I don't know why they decided to do that. So NASA or the military has changed the acronym from, there are no more UFOs, no more unidentified flying objects. Americans now refer to them as UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Whatever. It's fucking ridiculous in my opinion. But So yeah, we've been having a whole lot of problems with balloons lately. Um, shooting them down, shooting them down without even trying to. Basically, we're Americans are the Biden administration is taking up the strategy of shoot first, ask questions later. So, oh, there's a UAP in our UAP in our airspace or in Canada's airspace. Shoot it down. We don't need to actually investigate who owns it or who launched it. Could be the Chinese. We need to kill it. So yeah. Yeah. Oh, so I've been imaging this for 2 hours and 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Well, thereabouts. 2 hours, 8 minutes and 9 minutes and 0 seconds. 1 second, 2 seconds. Never mind. Yep, it was commies trying to spy on us. Got to shoot them down. So who knows? I don't know why I'm tired. We drinking coffee. Oh, excuse me, guys. Oh. Yes, and we haven't been asking the aliens what their intentions are. We're just shooting them. It's probably going to make those aliens very, very upset. Killer clowns, killer clowns from outer space. Great movie. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. I might need to make some food. Those nuts really aren't covered it. Shoot first, ask questions never. Shoot first, ask questions never. Yeah, basically. Um, so yeah, let's see here. Let's change this back to medium. Ba-bam! Does this actually just turn into a negative? It does turn it into a negative. That's cool. I didn't realize that button was there. I have been using Maxim DL for decades at this point, and I did not realize that button was there. Wow. Great. Good times. Learn something new every day. Every day. Which nuts? These nuts. Sunflower nuts, sunflower kernels. Let's see, can I put it? Yep. All right, they're coming up. Those nuts. Yeah, they're not quite in the spot, so I may actually have to go make food. Yep, I agree. We're just antagonizing the aliens by shooting down their balloons. It's not going to end well for us. You know, we really shouldn't be worried about World War III. We really should be worried about antagonizing the aliens and causing an interstellar war. All right, folks. I think because I'm getting a little tired, and I think I want to go make some food, and I don't really want to leave the stream dead. I'm going to end the stream now. I'm going to continue to take data, but I'm going to end the stream now, and I am at some later date. I will not commit to when, but at some later date, I will do a stream, or I'll do a stream where I actually analyze this data. And well, when I say analyze, what I really mean is try to make a pretty picture with it. So yeah, thank you all for being here with me while I do this. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Let's see, where is StreamYard? There it is. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you've gotten something out of this. I know I have. It's been great to talk with you all. So even Gary, great for talking to you as well. Nimrod. I'm going to ignore that, Nimrod. And I made you a mod, and this is how you treat me? Oh my God. I feel so betrayed. Anyway, like I said, hope you enjoyed it, and like, share, subscribe, all that. And good night all, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, to quote a famous internet philosopher and flat earther. So, all right. Peace out. Clear skies.